The cells of our body are constantly renewed. Our blood is renewed, our bones are renewed, and in 7 years, our body is completely new. We exist in a dynamic flow made of causes from the past and consequences reaching into the future. In contemplation, we try to separate ourselves from the past, psychological, physical, and mental. We try to discover that level of consciousness which is not tied to the past. We remember the past, but we do not hold on to it. It is as if we are saying, I am the Atman, I have nothing to do with the past. The genetic memory of the body, ancestral karma, parental and social imprints, countless causes determine our present. We are in this moment the result of our past, and this continues into the future. It could go on endlessly, but we say, stop. We want to halt this process. The same concerns the future, everything that might happen, everything we expect, hope for, desire, or fear. In reality, it is only the continuation of the past, nothing new. We do not agree with this. We want freedom. And here too we say, stop. I am not tied to my future. I am the Atman. I am beyond time. I can control this. I do not cling to it. I do not consider it my essence, just as I do not consider my clothing to be myself. When you relax in meditation, you begin to feel your inner centers. They slowly start to pull your attention. It is as if your inner emptiness, luminous clarity, depth, and infinity reveal themselves and come forward. They are so deep that they are not connected even with our birth. That is why the masters of yoga say that one must find one's face before birth. Our present birth is simply a fact of the past that brought us into samsara. But there is another part of consciousness which was never born, free from all this. We have always been. We were never born. Therefore, in this state, there is no fact of our death. The death of the physical body is inevitable, but not the death of consciousness. Death does not touch consciousness. It remains. What happens to the body takes place on the periphery of consciousness. But in the depth of consciousness, there is no birth and no death. The past and the future do not touch our true self, our Atman. Letting go of this, we relax even more. Then our inner center, like a magnet, pulls us in. It gently draws us deeper. We restore our connection with our inner self, which we may not have felt for a long time, or forgotten because of inattention and being born into a physical body. At first, this state is subtle, half there, half not. We must learn to trust what is not yet clear to the mind. Slowly, this experience begins to open as inner light, as a space of empty awareness, as happiness, grace, and the joy of awareness itself. You only need to relax and allow this center to draw you further within. We remain without reflection. We try to consciously catch the gap between one thought disappearing and the next not yet arriving, and to enter this gap with full awareness. We must break through the hazy layer of concepts, for the concepts of the mind hold us tightly. We should try to look at the world with the eyes of a child, curious but without thought. Then our true essence beyond the mind comes to the front. At first it may seem boring because we are used to enjoying thinking, reflecting, judging reality. To simply contemplate may feel dull, but gradually we begin to feel subtle freedom and subtle depth. From this non-reflective consciousness, clarity appears. This clarity needs no explanations, words, or logic. We begin to enjoy it, as if we are seeing better. Thoughts drift on the periphery, but we do not care. We are ourselves, and thoughts are separate. Suddenly we realize that in this clarity, there is vastness, perspective, depth, and freedom. In this clarity, there are no thoughts, no future plans, no threads dragging from the past. There is astonishing freedom. Thoughts seem heavy compared to the lightness, creativity, and spaciousness of this luminous, empty clarity. We enjoy dwelling in it. From this moment, we fall in love with clarity itself. It begins to teach us. It becomes our inner guru. From within, it gives revelations, insights, expanded states of freedom. It does not lecture. It does not explain concepts. Clarity has its own language. Suddenly, you simply know something. It comes from within. Your mind becomes wide, separate from thoughts and emotions. This empty clarity starts to teach us. It shows us that all objects arise from it. It generates them. This is not lifeless emptiness, not the vacuum of space. This clarity is alive. It is creative. It is the source of all existence. We begin to understand that we are in contact with a magical jewel. This is not just emptiness, not just clarity. It is something wiser than us. It is a superconscious wisdom that was before us and which we are. This jewel, this wisdom has always been within us, but we never listened, never used it, ignoring it because we were too absorbed by body, mind, thoughts, and desires. We were fascinated by the outer world, and we ignored this jewel. Yet it is truly a treasure, though we do not recognize it immediately. This first contact means it has opened to us. With it come realizations, and we are amazed. This jewel can teach us. It can give us new knowledge. We can act from contact with this jewel in daily life, easily, spontaneously, joyfully. It is the source of great happiness and inspiration, for its essence is bliss, happiness. Suddenly we are filled with causeless joy. We realize that everything we ever wanted is already here. We do not need possessions or complex relationships. What we want is happiness itself. Things and relationships are only conditions, secondary causes. And this happiness is right here. We don't have to look far. This happiness within us is the Atman, one and inseparable from the infinite cosmic consciousness. It is the absolute God, Brahman. Gradually we enter more and more into contact with this inner divine essence. Then begins the process of calming activity, Shanti Karma. Inner calming activity means we harmonize everything inside that was once disturbed. Within every person there are bright spaces of consciousness and there are dark ones, like caves full of monsters. Calming activity means that all these contradictory dark areas, all compressed springs of karma, vasanas, and obstacles, vignas, are pacified and merged into a single stream of consciousness. They become balanced. Addictions dissolve. The kleshas vanish. Everything is harmonized. Peace and calm return to the soul. This is inner calming activity, which you perform for yourself. You have healed yourself, blessed yourself, found peace and harmony. And it happened without great effort. You only relaxed, followed the method of contemplation, and touched the inner source. You simply trusted. By contemplating correctly, you remove the obstacles of attachment to past, future, and mental concepts. You feel that it happened by itself. This is the first contact with divine grace. You calmed yourself and healed yourself. Old wounds of the soul closed. Fears, complexes, unforgiven resentments, all of it suddenly disappeared. Everything that tormented and bound you dissolved. Then there is no need for psychotherapists or psychoanalysts. They may help with certain problems, but in the end you will find that your true psychologist, coach, mentor is inside you. Inside are also the shaman, the clairvoyant, the astrologer. You only need access to them. Without such access, you will continue to move along the periphery and never solve your problems. What we need is true calming activity, the activity that brings peace. The next stage is enriching activity, Poshtikama. Enriching activity means growth, flowering, abundance, prosperity. It is not only about material wealth. Many think enriching activity is just praying, making offerings, or worshipping Lakshmi for money. But enriching activity is deeper. Money is only part of wealth. True wealth is the enrichment of life force, of merits, of abilities, of health, of prana, ojas, tejas, the improvement of the subtle body. All this is enriching activity. Sadhus practice enriching activity, but not for money. They enrich their subtle body and energy. The next step in contemplation is enriching yourself as a jiva, as a living being. Grace from the higher self allows us to enrich ourselves and improve our qualities. Enriching activity means feeling wealthy inside, discovering inner treasures. Gold, silver, diamonds are external riches. A sadhu has inner wealth, received from the descent of divine grace. Gradually you begin to feel full and truly rich. This does not mean money suddenly appears in your bank account. It is an inner sense of wealth, and this inner wealth is more precious than a bank balance. This state is called purnatva, fullness and wholeness, when there are no desires, only happiness. Usually people have many desires but little happiness, so they chase desires to find some satisfaction. One satisfies through food, another through entertainment, another through sex, another through information, another through relationships, but all of it is only to gain a sense of wholeness, fullness, happiness. A sadhu has so much happiness that he shares it with others. The concept of lack and misery is replaced by the concept of giving, of sharing one's happiness and wealth. This happens because your purnatva, your inner wholeness, has grown. This is the sign of enriching activity. You begin to fill yourself with the light of divine grace, and this is the fruit of awareness. After harmonizing yourself, dissolving fears and complexes, making your consciousness freer, you begin to enrich yourself. There is a story about a yogi who meditated and reached great purnatva. Shiva and Parvati, passing through the subtle world, saw the radiance of his aura and wished to bless him. They appeared before him, and the yogi paid respect. The deities were filled with the desire to bless him, for the gods, being full, must bestow gifts upon their devotee. They asked what wish he had, but the yogi was already so full that he had none. He said joyfully that seeing Shiva and Parvati was enough. He needed nothing else. The yogi wore old clothes, always sewing them, with a thread that often broke. But he was not troubled. The gods insisted, asking him to name at least one wish. Then the yogi looked at his needle and thread, which constantly broke, and barely went through the eye, and he said, "Grant me this blessing, that the thread will always enter the needle easily when I mend my clothes." The gods were astonished by such modesty. They admitted they had never seen such purnatva, such fullness, wholeness, and sufficiency when no desire remains, not even a small one. This is an example of how divine grace blesses through correct contemplation and connection with the divine source. There is also the next stage, called empowering activity, Vashya karma. There is soothing activity, Rudra karma. These are even deeper stages of soul development, when we come into contact with the inner divine source and its grace. And all this is simple. Chant the Brahma mantra, enter contemplation, and many secrets and revelations will open. Your worldview will change because you will touch divine grace. This is called Sankhya Upasana, daily worship. Life itself becomes an exciting process. You are like a hunter tracking a marvelous creature to capture it. But here you are tracking awareness, how to find it, how not to lose it. Wherever you are, in whatever you do, you track this awareness and learn to dance with Shiva. At first we fail, because Shiva dances in every atom, in every action, in every sound. We learn to be in rhythm with him. Like a clumsy partner in a waltz, we step out of time and sometimes on the partner's feet. But with practice, our skill in the art of dance grows. And with Shiva, the unsurpassed dancer, we always have room to grow.